Hello, I'm delighted to be here with Frances Rose, our trainer for our new course on communities for events professionals. Frances is renowned really for the report she wrote, the Share Theory, which focused on communities, and she's going to tell us a little bit about why now is the time to have a training course about communities.
So at the end of 2020, I undertook a piece of research with event CEOs and founders to find out how they've been adapting to the changes that the pandemic brought about for the events industry, which was obviously significant. It became really apparent really quickly that those who fared best during this time were undoubtedly those who were closest to their markets. I think there was a lot of feeling that traditional events models been getting away with it to a certain extent for the last few years. It relied on having the power to physically convene people and create that kind of moment in time where networking and knowledge exchange can take place. In the traditional events model, delegates or sponsors would have touch points with event organizers in the few weeks prior to an event, and then the event organizer would kind of drop off the radar for the bulk of the year. And all of the interaction and therefore monetization was focused on a very few short weeks of the year in the run-up to the event and during the event. What the coronavirus pandemic has done is kind of decoupled the knowledge exchange and to a certain extent the networking because of the online networking available from these physical moments in time. And this represents a threat to the traditional event business model, or an opportunity for those who are willing to be flexible on two fronts. Firstly, in terms of delegate expectations, they're going to need a much more compelling business case to travel to a new location and to give time to any kind of event, online or physical. And they expect to access information and contacts virtually as it suits them now. The second threat is that the barriers to entry for the space will be lowered. As virtual events cost so little to run, there's much less risk in terms of a deposit or things like that that you'd normally pay out for a hotel. It's much easier for new players to enter the market. And whether they're coming in with a new, sort of better and more targeted product, or whether they're simply diluting market share and drowning out quality content in digital white noise, that's going to be a threat for people who have already established content in the area. That's why a lot of events organizers are switching to this more community-based model. By working more closely with their markets, they're creating more touch points, they're making more of their content available on demand, and they can not only respond to market changes more quickly, but they'll also drive relationships and advocacy for their product in the market, which creates new barriers to entry for incomers, which are much harder to overcome. In addition, obviously, there's a plus side of the fact that a community-based model requires year-round contact with community members, which therefore creates more opportunities to monetize your products and create purpose-built marketing solutions, which will drive more value for your sponsors across the year.
Sounds impressive. If somebody attended a training course, what do you think their main takeaways would be?
I mean, there's a lot of takeaways because there's a lot to discuss and a lot to unpick. And I think a lot of it will be based around conversations that people have. I'll be interested to hear what participants in the course have to think as well. I think there's as many community-based models as there are people putting community-based models together. But I think some of the key takeaways that people need to think about, firstly, are building your niche. Rather than chasing volume, you need to find a niche, you need to focus on owning it. You know, a lot of people are really appreciating the value of a highly targeted, well-engaged audience at the moment. We'll discuss what a community should look like, what values they share, and how you can do that. Keeping engagement levels high is obviously critical and something which a lot of events businesses haven't done before. A community does need constant sustenance to work and grow. That doesn't all have to come from you, but you need to be the center point around which that revolves. So we'll talk about content strategies and different routes to engagement to sustain your community. Also, I think offering more than you have to. So undervaluing is not about undervaluing your offering. It's really about valuing your community and seeing yourself as an important part of that. So we'll talk about some value building extras that you can do to help center your business within the community. An important issue is earning the right to play. You need to have a voice within your community that people respect and trust. So you need to think about how you're interacting with your community, who leads that interface, and also building status through your content offering. And finally, obviously, I think one of the biggest issues is monetization. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways to monetize a community, and you need to think about what model is going to work best for you. So anything from just increasing resilience across an existing portfolio to sort of developing a significant revenue stream. We'll be talking about different types of monetization.
Wow, that's a huge amount to cover and lots of things to take away and think about. But who do you think should be attending this course?
I mean, the course is really relevant for anyone who's thinking about their business model and considering switching to a more community-based focus. I think if you're responsible for structuring your team, for recruiting people to support this, or for managing the P&L for your business or your business unit, and you're interested in sort of getting hold of clear, actionable information about how to roll out a community-based model, as well as I think the interaction, which will be really important, so high-level discussions with your peers, then this is going to be a good course for you.
Sounds brilliant. Well, if anybody's interested, please just visit our website, www.the-media-house.co.uk, or get in touch. Frances, I'm looking forward to attending. It's going to be so interesting and lots of value. So thank you very much.
Be great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.